General social boycott. Four events of special significance occurred within less than 4 weeks. The conversion of Hamza, the conversion of Umar, Muhammad's refusal to negotiate any sort of compromise, and then the pact drawn up between Banu Muttalib and Banu Hashim to immunize Muhammad and shield him against any treacherous attempt to kill him. The polytheists were baffled and at a loss as to what course they would follow to rid themselves of this obstinate and relentless obstacle that had appeared to shatter to pieces their whole tradition of life. They had already been aware that if they killed Muhammad, their blood would surely flow profusely in the valleys of Mecca, and they would certainly be exterminated. Taking this dreadful prospect into consideration, they grudgingly resorted to a different iniquitous course that would not imply murder, a pact of injustice and aggression. The pagans of Mecca held a meeting in a place called Wadi al-Mahassab and formed a confederation hostile to both Bani and Bani. They decided not to have any business dealings with them, nor any sort of intermarriage, social relations, visits, and even verbal contacts with Muhammad and his supporters would discontinue until the Prophet was given up to them to be killed. The articles of their proclamation, which had provided for merciless measures against Bani Hashim, were committed to writing by an idolater, and then suspended in Al-Kaaba. The Prophet invoked Allah's imprecations upon Baghdad, whose hand was later paralyzed. Abu Talib wisely and quietly took stock of the situation and decided to withdraw to a valley on the eastern outskirts of Mecca. Banu Hashim and Banu al-Muttalib, who followed suit, were thus confined within a narrow pass. From the beginning of Muharram, the 7th year of Muhammad's mission, till the 10th year buys a period of 3 years. It was a stifling siege. The supply of food was almost stopped, and the people in confinement faced great hardships. The idolaters used to buy whatever food commodities entered Mecca, lest they should leak to the people in Ashib, who were so overstrained that they had to eat leaves of trees and skins of animals. Cries of little children suffering from hunger used to be heard clearly. Nothing to eat reached them except on few occasions. Some minute quantities of food were smuggled by some compassionate Meccans during the prohibited months when hostilities traditionally ceased. They would leave their confinement and buy food coming from outside Mecca. Even then, the foodstuff was unjustly overpriced, so that their financial situation would fall short of finding success to it. Hakim bin Hisham was once on his way to smuggle some wheat to his aunt Khadija, when Abu Jahl intercepted and wanted to debar him. Only when al-Bukhtari intervened did Hakim manage to reach his destination. Abu Talib was so much concerned about the personal safety of his nephew. Whenever people retired to sleep, he would ask the Prophet to lie in his place. But when all the others fell asleep, he would order him to change his place and take another, all of which in an attempt to trick a potential assassin. Despite all odds, Muhammad persisted in his line and his determination, and courage never weakened. He continued to go to Al-Kaaba and to pray publicly. He used every opportunity to preach to outsiders who visited Mecca for business or on pilgrimage during the sacred months and special seasons of assemblies. This situation ultimately created dissensions amongst the various Meccan factions who were tied with the besieged people by blood relations. After 3 years of blockade, and in Muharram, the 10th year of Muhammad's mission, the pact was broken. Who used to smuggle some food to Bani Hashim secretly at night went to see Zuhair and reproached him from resigning to that intolerable treatment meted out to his uncles in exile. The latter pleaded impotence, but agreed to work with Hisham and form a pressure group that would secure the extrication of the exiles. On the ground of motivation by uterine relations, there emerged a group of 5 people who set out to abrogate the pact and declare all relevant clauses null and void. They were Hisham bin Amr Zubair and Zam. They decided to meet in their assembly place and start their self-charged mission. From the very precinct of the sacred house, Zuhair, after circumambulating 7 times along with his colleagues, approached the host of people there and rebuked them for indulging in the amenities of life, whereas their kith and kin of Bani Hashim were perishing on account of starvation and economic boycott. They swore they would never relent until the parchment of boycott was torn to pieces and the pact broken at once. Abu Jahl, standing nearby, retorted that it would never be torn. Zama was infuriated and accused Abu Jahl of telling lies, adding that the pact was established and the parchment was written without seeking their approval. Al-Bukhtari intervened and backed Zama, attested to the truthfulness of their 2 companions. Abu Jahl, with a cunning attempt to liquidate the hot argument that was running counter to his malicious goals, answered that the issue had already been resolved sometime and somewhere before. Abu Talib, meanwhile, was sitting in a corner of the mosque. He came to communicate to them that a revelation had been sent to his nephew, the Prophet, to the effect that ants had eaten away all their proclamation that smacked of injustice and aggression except those parts that bore the name of Allah. He contended that he would be ready to give Muhammad up to them if his words proved untrue. Otherwise, they would have to recant and repeal their boycott. The Meccans agreed to the soundness of his proposition, went to see the parchment, and there he did discover that it was eaten away by ants and nothing was left save the part bearing in the name of Allah. The proclamation was thus abrogated, and Muhammad and the other people were permitted to leave Ashashib and return home in the context of this trial to which the Muslims were subjected. The polytheists had a golden opportunity to experience a striking sign of Muhammad's prophethood, the white ants eating away the parchment, but to their miserable lot they desisted and argumented in disbelief. But if they see a sign, they turn away and say, "This is continuous magic."